Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's talk about the boundaries between the customer and the comic shop owner. A couple of you have wrote in recently talking about comic shops and kind of that relationship. I have this general feeling that overall, kind of retail relationships have fallen a lot. I think COVID broke quite a bit. You know, the service quality of stuff. It's kind of all over the board now, and I mean, in general, there's almost this attitude of good customer service is like a privilege, and you don't deserve that privilege, and we should. It's strange the way things work is strange. And I think there's a pragmatism to around retail and just kind of good customer service that is missing right now in America, certainly in other parts of the world. I don't know. It's we have an exhaustion. One thing that we haven't had since COVID and since the people were locked in and they came back and then there's a like one thing that hasn't happened is nobody's really had a good victory yet. And what I mean by that is like nobody feels really good about going to work. Everything feels like a chore. And I'm speaking generically. This may not apply to you. But if you've gone into like a Target or a fast food place or a restaurant, you'll notice that like the customer service has taken a significant hit. And there's just an edginess to all of it. So a lot of you are writing in about that. I mean, and keep in mind, I'm not placing blame anywhere. I'm not placing blame on the people in particular because it's all over the place. There's just been this drop. But at the same time, people are nervous, people are more edgy, people are concerned. I mean, I was talking to a friend who runs a comic shop, and he's like, "Yeah, he goes right now. Whenever whenever we're in operation, and I see somebody take out their phone and start taking photos in the store, it's like I have cold like ice in my veins that somebody is going to post this stuff on Instagram and try and like talk about the store being bad. It's like this, there's this paranoia that's crept into every relationship, and it's broken. I think I'm not sure how you come back from it, but it is a problem. But anyway, we got this mail asking about this, and so we'll get into it. And it says, "Hello, Mr. Perchington." Yes, thank you. Yes, I am Perch Perchington, and as you all know, I was caught by someone apparently pleasuring myself. And the only way to prevent these nude photos from being released is I have to send $763 in Bitcoin. It's anyway, they found Perch Perchington, which is of course my real name. Little do they know I'm starting an OnlyFans account. So in my mind, I'm they're basically I'm not going to pay him. I mean, this is free promotion for me. So put that out there. Everybody can get real amazed at. Anyway, I've gone too far with this joke. All right. Hello, Mr. Perchington. Some time ago, you made a video in regards to some possible trouble at Marvel in regards to the unusually early solicitations. Since then, I've wanted to ask my local comic shop about it and ask for their thoughts on it and if they are worried, and possibly stay informed about it for the months to come. That's a good idea. There's a trick to that, by the way, though. We'll get to the rest of this mail here. It says, I'm not so worried about Marvel as I am the shop and how this could possibly affect them. However, it dawned on me that I may be overstepping my boundaries as a customer when asking about this since, from at least from what I understand, comic shops are supposed to keep quiet about certain things regarding their business and relationship with comic publishers. Sort of. There's kind of a you're not supposed to reveal certain things. Lunar is asking for customers and comic shops to narc on other shops that are selling the comics early. A bunch of people got really worried about it, like this is a bunch of bullshit. I mean, it might be, sure, but keep in mind, Lunar didn't start this. Diamond has openly asked for this for years, basically. So that this isn't new to Lunar. If a couple of you have mailed me going, can you believe this shit that Lunar is doing? I'm like, I can because Diamond has had this policy for like 20 years. I can totally understand it. Generally speaking, there's this feeling inside the industry. I'm not sure where it came from, that if you're a comic shop and you speak ill of Marvel and DC, like these guys are a bunch of jerks, that there'll be retaliation. The problem is I've never seen any tangible evidence of the retaliation. And I'm not even sure how it would even happen. I mean, truth be told, Marvel and DC barely know a lot of these comic shops exist. So the idea that they're somehow keeping tabs on comic stores, and if they're saying negative things about Marvel, I don't even know how they would know. I don't know how the information would ever get to them. The reality is it wouldn't get to them. So anyway, it's a weird thing. I will tell you, there is not a clause that I signed as a retailer through Diamond, or back in the day through Capital City or some of the others, that said, I will never speak. It's like a morality clause against Marvel or DC. I never had to sign one of those. It doesn't exist. There's not anything like that. Anyway, we get back to the mail. It says, to provide a little extra context, I've been going to the store near my home for about 8 months now and plan to do business with them in the future once I get my own comic published. Okay, that's an interesting wrinkle. I don't want to potentially hamper this relationship by asking them a question they don't or can't answer. I may be getting worried for nothing, but I'm assuming this isn't the type of thing the average customer is asking their local shop. I wanted to get your insight if I'm overstepping my boundary as a customer, asking this sort of thing about the behind the scenes business. Okay. First off, so that's the mail. First off, thank you for caring. Sounds weird, but people who think these things through, like, am I potentially, creating a bad situation for someone? I mean, that's good for you. A lot of people don't give a shit. They just like stomp all over it. There's not a legal or contractual requirement to not talk about Marvel or DC. So the comic store is free to talk about what they want to talk about. But I would say that, it all of this hinges on the relationship you have with your shop. Do they know you? Do they greet you by name? Do you talk about things? I would suggest you ease into the conversation. And the way you would do this is you ask things like, hey, how's business? How are things going? And if you're spending money with them regularly, asking about kind of how things are is not bad. And many comic shop retailers will appreciate the curiosity. They'll appreciate that you seem to care about their business. So they're not going to punish you for that. I think if you go in cold and you're a first time customer, they've never really seen you before, or they don't really know you, and you're like, hey, how do you feel about Marvel? They're gonna start to wonder, are you secretly recording this to make a TikTok video about it or whatever? I mean, that's unfortunately the world we live in. So you have to gain some trust. So I think if they know you by name and you have a box and you're spending money regularly, and like, hey, I care about comics. I care about your success as a store. I'm just curious how you're doing. You'll find a lot of comic shops will readily talk to you. They'll be interested. They'll happily engage with you. So I think, assuming you have that relationship, and it's pretty easy to gain that relationship. A lot of comic shop retailers, keep in mind, are very frustrated by how things are currently going. And so chances are they will, they're looking to vent every once in a while. They would love to be able to just say, look, I think this is all bullshit. I found it pretty easy. And even down here, when I came down to Texas, I started visiting a bunch of shops I didn't know. There's a couple of shops down here I know the owners and from way back, and we've talked, but I've gone to some new shops. And even walking in cold, I'm like, hey, how's it going? I always tell them where I'm coming from. Like, yeah, I've owned some shops up in Washington. I'm always trying to kind of figure out what to do. And then I kind of reassure them, like, I'm not trying to open up a shop next to you. I'm not trying to steal your business, but how are things going? Are you getting the support? And I would tell them, it's like, I'd volunteer something like, I've struggled with Diamond and some of the quality of the packaging and other things. How about you guys? Are you guys seeing the same? How's it for you? Most people will opt in and start talking to you. Every now and then you'll hear somebody who nope, everything's fine. So just read the room. If they clam up and they're not, they clearly don't want to talk. They're like, if they sound awkward, back away friendly. Be like, oh, hey, okay, well, hey, I hope everything does well for you. Cool. Just kind of read the room. If they look uncomfortable, they are uncomfortable, and just back away. But otherwise, no, you're not overstepping your bounds. Most people appreciate that you're taking an interest, and I say you do it. It will be okay. Almost every comic shop I've ever talked to, been in, they appreciate your interest. They honestly do. They're not going to be salty about it. They're going to they will honestly appreciate it. Oh, there's my thing saying I'm getting too close to people. Anyway, thank you very much for the question. Go forth, ask those questions, learn about the business. It's all good. Thanks for listening.